Hey guys, and welcome back. This is Massis Outdoors. Today's a fun tutorial that I was thinking about. I've seen some pictures through Instagram. What else we got? Pinster, I believe, or Pinterest. Pinterest. All a bunch of different various websites, and all. I've seen a bunch of different ideas for reclaimed materials that we can make into a fun little projects. Today is going to be a little DIY birdhouse. Let me put you on the tripod and we'll get started how easy this is going to be to make a simple little birdhouse out of basically reclaimed stuff. Alright guys, basically simple what we're saying as far as reusable stuff. We got a simple liquid, washing liquid for detergent. Simple container, this is 131.25 fluid ounce container. Anything will work, but this is what we're going to use for today's tutorial. First thing, of course, what you're going to want to do, take your top off, set that aside, and what I ended up doing was getting a pocket knife, regular knife, anything will work, and this is usually sits in here. This is a little spout. I believe it sits like that. I just pried in between the white plastic and the rim and carefully wiggle this out. We're not going to need this, so this can be discarded. What we end up with is basically the basic container. What you're going to do is get in here and rinse this out real good, because we are going to want birds to live in here, so we are going to definitely want to get all the chemicals out of here. Rinse it real good, make sure it's completely basically, if you wouldn't want your pet living in there, we don't want wild animals living in there. Alright, to keep this very simple, what we're going to do is we need to draw a circle. We're going to make an opening. Now I'm not really sure what size I'm going to use, but I'm actually thinking, as I'm sitting there looking at this container, I'm thinking basically, what about we just go ahead and use this exact for this one I'm just going to use the exact Arm & Hammered circle. And if you didn't have something like that, or if you wanted to set it down a little bit lower, you could take, say, your cap, put it on there, and just use a simple basic marker and trace it out. Or anything that you have that would make a perfect circle, even use a little compass. And you can use really just about an X-Acto knife is going to be the best thing for this. I have one laying around the shop, I'm just not particularly sure where I've left it. So what I'm doing is just using a basic single edge razor, and what I'm going to do is just take my time and cut it out. So why don't we go ahead and cut this out, and we'll go ahead and proceed on to the next step. Alright, so now that we've got a hole cut out, man, I goofed up a little, but you know what? Birds aren't going to really know the difference. So what I'm going to do is just take some sandpaper and just run it around here. I do want to make sure this is a smooth centrifugal bore hole, whatever you want to call it. Alright, next thing what I'm doing is I went to my local hardware store. This has been several months ago for me, but instantly for y'all. I planned on doing a bunch of these. I bought their 5/16 by 48 inch dowels, and I felt like this was going to be the correct size for what I'm going to do. And what we're going to do here is basically we want to figure out what the length we need to cut it. Now what I'm going to do is, let me see if you can make sure you see this. I'm going to make sure it protrudes about an inch out of the back, and as far as the front, we'll give them about 3-4 inches. This is not exactly rocket scientist, so there we go. I feel comfortable with that. We're just going to give a spot for the bird to land on. So once we have that marked, which I'm just using finger for right now, I'll just take a little marker, mark it, and we'll go ahead and cut it. Let's see what I got. And so I don't create a bunch of noise in this video, I'll just use a simple little handsaw. Let's move this out of my way for a second. Apologize, guys. Working in a tight little shop. Let's not lose the razor blade. And simple, cut it 90 degrees. Now, I don't want to tear up my table saw, so I can just hold it up and just be very careful not to, I don't want to split the dowel because I do want to try to create a nice little surface, and there we go. Oop. And that's all it is. Now that we have a simple cut dowel, we'll take the rest, put it off to the side, because I do have other projects planned. Just remove the saw, and we're back to the bottle itself. Now, I would say probably, I don't know, 1/2 inch or whatnot. What I'm going to do is just also grab my Sharpie. Try to get this, I'm going to try to center it roughly about the bottom of the hole. And there we go. So I have the exact spot I do want to go ahead and put this in. Now I'm trying to decide, should I drill it or just to keep it simple. I'm probably just going to take my razor blade and make a simple X right through the center. Oh, and as I failed to mention, if you kind of seen, I was getting ready to cut the circle, but I ended up basically, since I had the hole, or what position I wanted the hole, I basically cut a good X, so that way I could remove 4 individual pieces instead of 1. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And basically, I'm just going to make a bunch of little slits from the outside edge going in. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And what this does basically creates a bunch of little flaps, so that way it constantly puts pressure on it. And this is going to be kind of hard part. What I'm going to do is basically work this through the hole, keeping my finger here, so that way we don't rip or tear out the plastic. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do, since I have it basically protruding through, I'm going to try to push it all the way to the back wall. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And what I'm doing is make sure wherever it's going to stay flat and level, what I'm going to do is eyeball it and come back through to the back side and make a small slit. And I believe I'm in this exact neighborhood. And what I'm doing is just making kind of the same thing, except there's no real hole. I just want to make a small slit where I can push it through. Use my fingers to push the plastic, and that's it. Really what we got is nice little perch that allows the bird to land on there and then get in and out easily. Now I know every variety of bird uses a different size hole, so I'm basically just taking a good guess. Again, it's not rocket scientist. If it works, it works. We can have hopefully something enjoying something that would have normally got discarded. Now, so since we're on the way to trying to finish this, what I'm going to also figure out is I kind of like this color cap. So why don't we go ahead on to, let's actually apply some paint, try to make this look a little colorful since we're going to have this hanging. Alright, well I'm back. What I got is satin sea glass. It's one of my wife's favorite colors, so I'm borrowing one of her spray cans. And what I've done is I've just grabbed a piece of metal, just something that I have laying around, but you can use a stick, or you could just actually lay it flat. I think I'm going to do it this way. And what I'm going to do, just go through, make sure I can get this in frame, and all we're doing is just putting a nice little coat across it. We know birds can't read, but why do we need to, I figure why not, let's take some of the yellowness out, and just give it a little decoration. See, this particular one I'm going to have hanging in front of my cabin out. If you're paying attention to, or if you haven't seen them, look in my main playlist for Mascis Outdoors, and you'll see some of the playlists on my little off-grid cabin. Now I'm going to go ahead I finished the rest of this off camera, and I'll be right back with you to show you the quick way how we can hang this, and we're going to be moving on. Alright guys, as you see, what I wanted was still to keep the purple top, and just gave it a quick spray job. Make sure you get the wood on the dowel so that way hopefully that it'll help it keep it from deteriorating out in the weather. And what I've got is what I'm using is going to be a simple wire coat hanger. Now I'm using 10 snips, but you can use a pair of pliers and actually untwist it. And let's see which tool I'm going to grab. We'll try to use a regular pair of pliers. Now what I'm going to do is what I want is a way to hang this thing. So what I'm going to do is just basically take nice sturdy wire coat hanger, and yes, these will rust. They're not going to last forever outdoors, but what you could do is give it a little bit of paint, and hopefully that will help it last just a hair longer. And what I'm doing is, hopefully you can see this in frame, we're just going to straighten this up. Even though they bent it for us, I want to use a nice long straight piece so I could just bend it myself whichever direction we're going to go in. And alright, so there we go. Now what I'm going to do is just basically, what I'm going to end up doing is just drilling a small tiny hole right through the lid so we can come through it and come up. So we're going to go with about a foot piece. So we'll get the handy 10 snips out. I'm going to cut a piece that's approximately a foot, give or take. Alright, we'll put that back up. Or what you could do is, after cutting off the very hook part, you could actually just straighten it out and cut that piece literally in half. Let's see, am I going to get the drill out, or how am I going to get creative on putting a hole in there? So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get the handy drill out, and I'm just going to get a drill bit just a hair bigger than what the diameter of this is. And what I'm going to do is just basically, you can even take a marker if you're afraid of missing it. So we'll just put it so it's going to go basically side to side, and I'm just going to mark a small hole basically on equally right through the cap itself. Let me get the drill out, and I'll go ahead and show you how we'll twist this up and it's ready to be hung. Alright, let's see which is the one. Alright, so as you see, just a quick drill, and you might notice I have a little sawdust on mine. Had unfortunately a little misfortune in this tight cramped shop, but here we go. Hopefully you can see that perfectly well. We're just going to stick this through just with our hands, give it a little manipulation, and I think I'm going to, because this is a little bit thicker than stuff I normally would use, bring it up to a point. Actually, let me do it a little different way. Basically, we're just going to find a way to hook these two in. Alright, so this is kind of hard to do it when I'm trying not to get in y'all's way. And alright, and I'll fix the little loops. Basically nothing more than that. And basically right now it gives it a little hanger so it could be hung up from some string, from a little string or rope or something in a tree, and it's done deal. Now I'm going to take mine outside because it's actually kind of upsetting. Camera project and all comes off the saw. but that's what I get for working in a tight, disorganized shop. But basically, as you see, it's done deal. Yeah, just hit it up with a quick coat of paint, and we have an instant birdhouse. Let me know what you guys think, guys, in the comments. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Thumbs up if you really enjoyed this. This is simple and quick, easy. If I didn't have to film this, it'd be about a 5-minute build.